This message comes from Amazon Health. Why do doctor visits always require paperwork? With your permission, Amazon Health AI can connect to your health history for personalized care fast. Amazon Health AI is here. Healthcare just got less painful.
This is America in Pursuit, a limited-run series from NPR and Throughline. I'm Randa Abdel Fattah. Each week, we bring you stories about life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness in the U.S. that began 250 years ago. If you listened really closely, you might have noticed, as we did, that there's a song that keeps creeping up in the background of many of our recent stories in this series.
We shall overcome.
It's a song that has fueled war protests, political protests, and the fight for civil rights.
There's a little song that we sing in our movement down in the South. I don't know if you've heard it.
On this episode, we go deep into the NPR archives to share one of our favorite radio broadcasts, the story of how this song, We Shall Overcome, was passed down from farm workers to churchgoers to student protesters, how its lyrics were transformed, and how it's left a legacy of hope for so many, not only in the U.S., but around the globe. NPR's Noah Adams reported the story back in 1999 to mark the 70th anniversary of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s birth. That's coming up after a quick break.
This message comes from Rosetta Stone, offering an alternative approach to language learning. Moving past rote memorization, the app guides users to intuitively think in a second language using images and contextual audio, mimicking how people acquire speech as children. The platform also includes advanced speech recognition technology that compares a learner's pronunciation directly with native speakers to refine accent precision. Learn more about their new Rosetta Stone Sapphire app at rosettastone.com.
This message comes from Schwab. With the new Schwab Teen Investor Account, teens can gain hands-on investing experience and build positive money habits. It's an account co-owned by you and your teen, so you can monitor and engage with the account while your teen learns how to invest and manage money. Learn more at schwab.com. This message comes from NPR sponsor Carvana. Carvana believes selling your car should be easy. Get a real offer down to the penny, picked up from your driveway. You may keep waiting for a catch. There isn't one. Sell today at Carvana.com. Pickup fees may apply.
It is not a marching song. It is not necessarily defiant. It is a promise. We shall overcome someday. Deep in my heart, I do believe. We Shall Overcome has been heard in North Korea, in Beirut, in Tiananmen Square, in South Africa's Soweto Township. It has been a civil rights song for years now, but it began as a folk song, a work song. Slaves in the fields would sing, "I'll be all right someday." It became known in the churches. A Methodist minister, Charles Albert Tindley, published a version in 1901, "I'll Overcome Someday." The first political use came in 1945 in Charleston, South Carolina. There was a strike against the American Tobacco Company. The workers wanted a raise. They were making 45 cents an hour. They marched and sang together on the picket line, "We will overcome, and we will win our rights someday." 4 decades later, some of the strikers got together for a reunion. From a 1989 PBS documentary, these are the memories of Delphine Brown, Anna Lee Bonneau, and Corrine Chisholm.
When I first heard the song in my church, they singing in the gospel fast, and people shouting, "We will see the Lord, we will see the Lord, we will see the Lord someday. Deep in my heart, I do believe we will overcome someday." And that's the way we used to sing it. And the church.
In church, but not when you know.
No, not when we was on the picket line.
Picket line. When we first started singing it, I thought it was kind of silly.
But as the strike went along, it gave me a whole lot of encouragement and believing that we would overcome, and it made me fight that much harder, and we did overcome. We won it.
The Tobacco Workers' Strike, 1945. In 1947, 2 of the union members from South Carolina traveled to Tennessee and the town of Monteagle. They came for a workshop at the Highlander Folk Center. Blacks and whites had been meeting together about labor issues at Highlander for many years. Highlander had started with a focus on labor unions. The civil rights struggle came later. It was believed at Highlander that the people who have the problems are the ones who have the answers. It was important to talk together, and especially to sing. The tobacco workers brought their song to Tennessee, and Zilphia Horton, Highlander's music director, started using it in workshops in Tennessee and beyond. On this tape from the late 1940s, she's with a group of farm workers in Montana.
This is a song of We Will Overcome. It's a spiritual. I sang it for many different nationality groups. And it's so simple, the idea is so sincere, that it doesn't matter that it comes from the tobacco workers. When I sing it for people, it becomes their song. We will overcome. We will overcome. We will overcome someday. Oh, down in my heart, I do believe we will.
In 1947, Zilphia Horton went to New York City, as she did every year, to raise money for Highlander. She sang the song there for Pete Seeger.
She had a beautiful alto voice and sang it with no rhythm. We shall overcome. Down south they call this long meter style of singing hymns. And I gave it kind of chinka 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 chinka. It was medium slow as I sang it, but the banjo kept a steady rhythm going. I remember teaching it to a gang in Carnegie Hall that year, and the following year I put it in a little music magazine called People's Songs. Over the years, I remember singing it 2 different ways. I'm usually credited with changing it to shall, but there was a black woman who taught at Highlander Center, a wonderful person named Septima Clark, and she always liked shall too, I'm told.
For those who don't know it, now's a good time to learn it. It's not hard, only one line changes in each verse. The next verse says, we'll walk hand in hand. We'll walk hand in hand. Sing it again. We'll walk hand in hand.
In Southern California, in the early 1950s, the song reached Guy Carawan. He was finishing graduate work in sociology at UCLA and doing some singing himself. He also learned about the Highlander Center in Tennessee, and that's where he ended up. Candy Carawan and her husband have been teaching together at Highlander for many years now. They met as the center's focus was shifting to civil rights, and We Shall Overcome was about to become an inspiring force.
Let's see, I first heard this song from a friend of mine, Frank Hamilton. Frank was my singing partner in Southern California, and he taught me this song, and he also had put some chords to it. He sang the guitar with it, so he had a guitar with harmony like, we shall overcome someday. Oh, deep in my heart, I do believe, yes, that we shall overcome someday. And when I came to Highlander 1959, Zilphia Horton had died, and I had some singing and musical skills, and they needed somebody there. So by the time I came to Highlander, I was playing it with the guitar like that.
Candy, do you recall the first time you heard the song?
I had come south myself from California to Nashville, and it was the spring of 1960 when the sit-ins took place in Nashville. I'd gotten very involved in the sit-ins and came up to a Highlander weekend for students from about a half a dozen cities who'd been carrying on the sit-in movement. And Guy was there trying to find out what songs we were using as part of our demonstrations. And mostly we didn't have a lot of songs, and he taught us a number of songs that weekend. And one of them was We Shall Overcome. And I can remember this electrifying feeling when we heard it, that song just said exactly what we were doing and what we were feeling.
But 2 weeks later, at Shaw University, 200 student leaders from around the South had come together to have their own youth gathering, because 2 weeks later, SCLC, the Southern Christian Leadership Conference, would be having their gathering, but the students said, no, we're going to have our own gathering and figure out our version of this. But that song caught on that weekend, and then at a certain point, those young singers who knew a lot of a cappella styles, they said, lay that guitar down, boy, we can do this song better. And they put that sort of triplet to it and sang it a cappella with all those harmonies. It had a way of rendering it a style that some very powerful young singers got behind and spread.
We shall overcome, my Lord, we shall overcome, we shall overcome someday. Oh, deep in my heart, I know that I do believe, Lord, we shall overcome someday. We shall overcome.
The Freedom Singers. The group was organized in Albany, Georgia, by the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee. The singers were Cordell Regan, Charles Neblett, Rutha Harris, and Bernice Johnson, who was a preacher's daughter and knew the song as I Will Overcome. She recalls the change to We Shall Overcome as a concession that helped bring whites and blacks closer in the civil rights struggle.
The left, dominated by whites, believed that in order to express the group, you should say we. In the black community, if you want to express the group, you have to say I. Because if you say we, I have no idea who's going to be there. Have you ever been in a meeting, people say, we're going to bring some food tomorrow to feed the people. And you sit there on the bench and say, I have no idea. It is when I say I'm going to bring cake and somebody else said, I'll bring chicken, that you actually know you're going to get a dinner. So there are many black traditional collective expression songs where it's I, because in order for you to get a group, you have to have I's.
So you have to have people willing to stand up
and name themselves.
Right.
However, I remember when the organizers came to Albany, and I was singing I'll Overcome, and I was stopped by Cordell, who says it's not I'll, it's we. And he had gotten this lesson from Highlander and from Guy. And I looked at him, and we've been singing this song all of our lives, and here's this guy who just learned the song, and he's telling us how to sing it. And you know what I said to myself? If you need it, you got it. What that statement does for me is document the presence of black and white people in this country fighting against injustice, and you have black people accepting that need because they were also accepting that support and that help.
We shall overcome. We shall overcome.
The song was carried by the civil rights movement throughout the South. A song that rose in air that was tinged with tear gas, that was a murmur of men and women at night in a Southern jail, and an affirmation sung by hundreds of thousands within sight of the Capitol dome.
And we
On March 15, 1965, President Lyndon Baines Johnson used the phrase, "We shall overcome," in his voting rights speech. He appeared before Congress and 70 million Americans watching on television. He called for legislation that would assure every citizen the right to vote.
It is the effort of American Negroes to secure for themselves the full blessings of American life. Their cause must be our cause too. Because it's not just Negroes, but really it's all of us who must overcome the crippling legacy of bigotry and injustice. And we shall overcome.
There may have been some in the civil rights movement who felt that President Johnson co-opted the phrase. But John Lewis watched the speech that night with Martin Luther King. About the president, Lewis writes, his were the words of a statesman, and more, they were the words of a poet. And Lewis adds, Dr. King must have agreed. He wiped away a tear at the point where Johnson said the words, "We shall overcome." In his book, Walking with the Wind, he tells of joining the movement as a teenager off the farm in Alabama. He became a leader, he was jailed, he was beaten, his skull was fractured in Selma on the day that was called Bloody Sunday. And he says, "We shall overcome," sustained him throughout the years of struggle.
It is one of the most powerful, at the same time, sacred moment when we were saying we shall overcome. And especially if you have been beaten, arrested, in jail, and thrown into a paddy wagon, thrown into some waiting area, and the group just stand there and saying together, "We shall overcome." It gave you a sense of faith, a sense of strength to continue to struggle, to continue to push on. And you will lose your sense of fear. You were prepared to march into hell's fire.
None shall be afraid. I still believe that we shall overcome.
The power and the promise of this song turned up in many of Dr. King's speeches and sermons.
We shall overcome because the Bible is right. You shall reap what you sow. We shall overcome. Deep in my heart, I do believe we shall overcome. And with this faith, we will go out and adjourn the councils of despair and bring new light into the dark chambers of pessimism. And we will be able to rise from the fatigue of despair to the buoyancy of hope. And this will be a great America. We will be the participants. And so however dark it is, however deep the angry feelings are and the violent explosions are, I can still sing, "We shall overcome." We shall overcome because the arc of the moral universe is long, but it bends toward justice.
That final excerpt was from March 31st, 1968. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. giving a sermon at the National Cathedral in Washington, D.C. Dr. King was assassinated 4 days later. We're listening to an excerpt of an arrangement of the song that was commissioned by NPR and the Atlanta Symphony Orchestra back in 1999. And that's it. the final episode of our America in Pursuit series. But don't go anywhere on Tuesdays, because starting in September, every Tuesday we'll be rolling out answers to questions you, the listeners, have sent us. So stay tuned. That's coming soon. I'm Rand Abdel Fattah. This episode was produced by Nick M. Neves and Kiana Moghadam, and edited by Julia Redpath with support from the Throughline production team. Music by Ramtin Arablouei and his band, Drop Electric. Special thanks to Noah Adams, Irene Noguchi, Yolanda Sangweni, Liana Simstrom, Johannes Durgi, Mary Glendenning, and Lindsay McKenna. Thanks for listening.
This message comes from Rosetta Stone. Rosetta Stone is designed to make language learning intuitive. It mimics how people naturally acquire speech as children, helping users read, write, and think in a second language. More at rosettastone.com.
This message comes from Grainger. For the ones who get it done, Grainger offers the professional-grade products you need to get the job done. With fast delivery and access to technical product experts ready to help you meet any challenge. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. This message comes from Viking, committed to exploring the world in comfort. Journey through the heart of Europe on an elegant Viking longship with thoughtful service, destination-focused dining, and cultural enrichment on board and on shore. And every Viking voyage is all-inclusive with no children and no casinos. Discover more at Viking.com.